Alrighty, folks, we have a couple of things that we need to discuss. Sorry, I got Bogey here today. So again, if you hear the ticky-tacking or him in the background, please excuse that. But in all seriousness, though, we do have a major epidemic, maybe not a pandemic, but an epidemic that I think I'm seeing at card shows. Now, this is mainly for your really big card shows. I'm only going to speak for the few that I've been to over the course of the summer. Hopefully you've been watching along for our card show summer tour, where we went to we started with the EC3 Con, actually, Fanatics Fest, the National, and of course the West Coast Card Show. Now, I didn't notice what I'm going to be saying in this video at the EC3 Con. I think that's because it's more regional based and it's not so centralized in the country or in a popular dense area such as New York or Chicago or Anaheim / LA, whatever. And I haven't been to a local card show. I plan on doing so in a couple days from now. And hopefully this hasn't trickled down to that level. And what I mean by a local card show, you have 30 or 40 table show where it's at like a local VFW or some kind of event hall, in a local stage, right? There's not all this advertisement, doesn't really have a social media page, probably one that you've been to countless times over and over again, where you don't really get to go to the bigger regional or national shows all too often, or if maybe only once in your lifetime, honestly. So I can't speak for the local card show scene. Hopefully it hasn't trickled down to that. I don't think it has, just from some conversations I've had. And just to let you guys know, this video was brought to you by my loyal patrons through the channel membership program. Pledge today and receive exclusive perks, benefits, early access to videos, and more. Link in the description. It's hard for me to kind of put this really into words because I want to make sure that I'm giving you truth, facts, my opinion, of course, and I want to make sure I'm not misleading you guys in a wrong direction. Of course, I can only speak from my experience, my point of view, and again, my opinions, because what you may see here on YouTube from other influencers and people that go to all these card shows is that the hobby is so great right now. There's so much buzz. It's so exciting. It's this, it's that. And honestly, if you're looking for clout, if you're looking for media attention, maybe so. If you have an unlimited budget where the dollar sign or the amount of money that's coming out of your pocket doesn't matter as much, say, compared to some of these other influencers. I am not going to name names. I refuse to do that. Whoever you watch, especially if they have a good following, they might be telling you the hobby's alive, the hobby's roaring, the hobby's great, the hobby's this, the hobby's that. I just want to let you guys know, because I'm sure there's going to be somebody here in the comments that may say,
"Oh, you're just jealous that you don't have this many subscribers. You're just jealous you don't spend that much money or make these kind of..."
I could care less. I'm not going to card shows looking to spend $20, $30, $40, $50,000, not just in a deal or throughout the course of the weekend, but on one card. I'm not looking to do that. I could care less about the $50,000 card that whoever you watch sold or whoever you watch bought. I could care less. I don't care that they have maybe 50,000 subscribers, 100,000 subscribers, 200,000 subscribers. I don't care about that either. That's a whole rabbit hole that can be dove into another video, another time, maybe for channel members. I'll give you a little bit more of my thoughts and opinions about specifics of certain YouTubers and influencers. I'll leave that one for channel members maybe in another time. So with a little bit of backstory and a little bit of information that I had to provide you first, I want to bring you to my first piece of evidence. Actually, it's really my only piece of evidence, and then it's just more so a story time from, again, my experience, my opinions. Here's a couple of pictures that I took from the West Coast Card Show, and I saw these types of pictures with these banners and such all over the National and all over Fanatics Fest. Buying. No longer are these vendors buying at 50, 60, 70%. Maybe at your local card shows and maybe even some shops are buying at that lower margins. And there's a rhyme and a reason. I'm happy to dive into it if someone wants to beg the question on why shops have to pay at 50, 60%. I try not to. Everything's different. I'm not going on a tangent. If you want me to make a video of my reasoning, my logic, and my line of thinking of why I buy at certain percentages, because every card, every deal is different than the next, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to make that kind of video for you guys if you want. But let's stay on track here because I can easily get sidetracked. You guys know that. Easily can do it. But at Fanatics Fest, for the most part, I started seeing this trend. And I've made this claim. And I've made this point before, whether it was on Hobby Talk with Ricky, and I think I even made a separate video about it. I'm not sure. I'll try to go back, and if I do have one, I'll put it up here for you guys if I did make a video about this topic. And that's when a kid, 12, 13, 14, 15, I don't know, came up to the table looking to sell some cards. I think my offer was like $700-800. I thought it was pretty fair. He's like, oh, the guy offered me 95% over there. You guys might have heard me mention about this before, whether it's at the shop with Ricky on Hobby Talk or, again, in this mysterious video that I may or may not have. I have no idea. If somebody offered you, a vendor offered you 95% of the comp or the market value, if the card sold for $100 and they're offering you $95, why aren't you taking that? Why are you here at my table looking to sell me your cards when you have a 95% offer on the table? That makes no sense to me. So I was like, all right, whatever. It's a one-off. You know, oh, other vendors are offering 80, 85. Vendors are paying strong. I get it. We're in New York. Sure, it makes a little bit of sense. I'm going to try to stay true to my line of thinking, you know, in that 70, 75, 80% if it's really good kind of ballpark. Fanatics Fest came and went. It was really well, really good show. The National. Now, I'm not set up at the National. I'm attending the National. And you guys know from the Hobby Talk and the vlogs that I made that it was very underwhelming. I can't speak highly about the National like I once were able to. And I'm very, very upset about that because I love the National. I even told Mrs. Murph, I'm not having as much fun as I once had. You know, it's a lot of work for a little payoff. And she's like, why? You used to love the National. Why? And I told her why. It's because there's vendors like these buying at 90%, paying or buying 80 to 100%. 100%? So I'm not going to rehash my experience and my line of think with the National. Tons of vendors like this with these signs out and about. Everyone, you know, who streams on Whatnot with Repacks is running around with their sticky pads and their Sharpies, with their roller cases, looking up comps, offering you 85, 90, 95% of whatever the market value is, and that's how those deals get done. Last show I want to talk about is the West Coast Card Show, where these two pictures are actually from, and there was many more of these. I took these two because these were just the two that were near me. You can actually see my brother right here. You're not going to be able to see my mouse, but if you look on the buying 80 to 100%, you see a tall, lengthy kid with glasses wearing an Ashton Genty jersey. Then you see my brother's 13 red jersey right there. That was our table. You can see the blue tablecloth with the showcase on it behind this table. That was our table. So just even behind us, these guys, which I believe my brother overheard saying that this was their first ever show that they've set up at, and they're buying 80 to 100%. That just smells like a disaster. That's just leading to mismanagement of resources, of financials, of cash, of money. Everyone had these banners laying around, and was I able to buy a little bit? I was able to buy decently some decent stuff. Was it worth it at the end? No. Were I able to make some deals and sell some things? Yes and no. And I didn't want to have to bend over backwards to buy two streamer repacks at 85%. And this leads to my next point, is vendors are in an arms race to buy all the cards that they possibly can, even if they have to pay strong on these cards, because they know that their repacker buddy will just come around, pay a little bit more than whatever the vendor paid, so the vendor wins, and then the repacker wins, because they're just going to go take those cards and go scam somebody, whether it's you, your friends who love to do repacks, or whoever joins in on those repacks on Whatnot, because they're going to be selling $50 cards for $100 spots, $100 bags, or whatever it may be. And that, to me, just blows my mind. It's completely ass backwards. Again, vendors at shows would be very specific or very selective with what they used to buy, or not even buy at all at shows. Work with the few people that they would work with, and that's it. Now everybody's buying 90, 80 to 100% comps, market value, whatever, because they're in an arms race for the whatnot streamer to come around and buy from them. And therefore, when I walk around or you walk around a show looking to pay fair or maybe get a deal, hey, can I get 90%? Can I get 85, 80% on this or that, or whatever it may be? There's no reason or need for them to give me 80, 85, 90. Or in the vlog that I did, it was like, what, 92% or 93% of those 4 cards that I offered that guy, where it was, I think sticker was 620. I think it was 620. And I offered 560, which was 90% on the button. He said, no, if you're paying cash, I could do 6. I'm like, 580? Nope, I'm at 6. Because he doesn't have to sell it to me for anything less than 600, because he knows his whatnot buddies will come around, pick out this, and that, probably buy more and pay more, and there's a relationship there, and they probably transaction thousands of dollars worth of deals. And that repacker will buy those cards for $600, and then the repacker will go and sell those $600 worth of cards for, say, $250 a spot, and boom, there's $1,000. And of course, I'm exaggerating that number, 250. I have no idea. Even if it's $200 a bag, times it by 4, there's $800 right there. Plus the $30 card that they've thrown in there. They've probably sold 50 bags that night. I mean, you guys do the math on how ridiculous this repacking thing has become. And I'm just kind of ranting and going on a tangent at this point, and because thoughts are just coming to my brain. I didn't even expect to talk about this topic that I'm about to talk about until just now, because I've talked about it here at the shop, and I've been thinking about it for a very long time. What have we been told for 4 or 5 years now about whether you should buy the singles or buy the boxes? The singles are the best bang for your buck, the best investment, because you know what you're going to pay your $100 of hard-earned money on. You're going to buy that $100 card. I got a nice James Wood auto here. You're going to pay $100 for this one card. I have no idea what it's worth, but just go with me here. $100 on this one card. Or you could pay $100 for a box. Blaster boxes have gone to $100 before. Mega boxes, certainly. H2 hybrid boxes. Some lower end hobby boxes are $100. And you could take the risk, the gamble of paying $100 for a box where you may get $10 worth of cards or nothing at all that you absolutely want. And you just wasted $100 for what? Just to rip packs for 2 minutes? So that's why people usually buy the singles. You do it, I do it, we all do it. It's not a rocket science type, line of thinking here, folks. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. So what was super popular a few years ago? Breaking boxes, hobby boxes, cases. It provided more affordable, I won't say affordable, but more affordable access to these products, whether it was teams, divisions, whatever. However, these buy 2, get 1, stash and pass, return 2, trade 1, however they do it now online. It's gotten so stupid. It takes like 3 hours for the break to fill, and it's just awful. Anyways, they went from breaking, which was super popular. Remember Backyard being the most popular, the biggest breaker in the world? Well, now they're doing repacks too. And I've talked about this, and this isn't, any new news. Why are they doing repacks if they're the biggest breaker in the world, or the best breaking company ever, whatever their self-proclaimed titles are? Because people are pivoting to singles. And what's the gambling method of singles? Repacks. Because you're still paying for a gambling spot like you were in a break. But instead of getting 3 silvers of veterans you don't even know or want, and a numbered card of some 4th string linebacker that was drafted in the 7th round, that will probably just end up in like your quarter box or your dollar box or whatever it may be. Well, instead of getting those, and not even getting the base because these breakers keep the base all the time. Well, instead of getting that for $100, you're now getting this random slab, this random card. Probably still nobody that you want, but at least it's a genesis of Joe Mixon from 2022 in a PSA 9 that I have no idea what it goes for, but let's hypothetically say it's a $50 card, but you paid $100 for the spot. So are you getting a little bit more value? Sure, I guess, but it's still not what you want. You still wasted your $100 of hard-earned money on something you didn't even want. So, to kind of bring this all full circle, vendors are in an arms race to buy up as much inventory as they humanly possibly can. Why? So they can sell it to their repacker buddies, or maybe these vendors are even selling on Whatnot themselves to scam the end consumer, which are average collectors like you and I, or maybe it's dumbass that just keep buying into these gambling breaks and products and whatever it may be. And I try not to be offensive, and I apologize if I do offend you, but that's just the case. Why aren't we talking about breaking anymore? I mean, why aren't we talking about breaking a case of Prism football or a case of Flawless or whatever it may be? Because that's not what's cool or in or popular anymore. It's the repacks. That's what it's all about, because it's all about the individual single that people are getting now. Because they're, at the end of the day, they're still getting a single card for the repack spot, even though it's not what they want or what they like or making their money back or feeling satisfied. 85% of people who participate in breaks or in repacks are walking away unsatisfied with the return on investment, or they're feeling unsatisfied in what they're receiving at the end of the day. It just doesn't make any sense, folks. Wait, when are we going to wake up? We woke up a little bit from the breaks. I'll give us some credit there. We did wake up a little bit from breaks. Okay, that's fantastic. But when are we going to wake up from the repacking scene in breaks in general too? When can we, breaks with your buddies at your local card shop or at somebody's house, drinking some beer, eating some pizza, because you guys, split a $1,000 box 4 ways because there's 4 of you guys. That's fun. That's awesome. I wish I could do that with some friends, but a lot of people don't want to pay for the high-end boxes, and that's fine. Okay, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with people buying and selling on Whatnot, as long as you do it responsibly and strategically in a way that makes sense. There's nothing wrong with me going on Whatnot and selling dollar cards just to kind of get velocity moving and cards out the door and a little bit of cash back in my pocket. And there's nothing wrong with you guys going into these 4-viewer, 5-viewer, 6-viewer rooms and trying to get steals for $9 on 20 cards that might end up in your PC, or cards that you might actually be able to flip. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not here to bash Whatnot. Don't let me make you think that I'm here bashing on Whatnot, the streamers, the sellers, the buyers. I'm not here to do that. So let's just make sure nobody's leaving a comment, because I'm not doing that. And it has nothing to do with jealousy or envy. Nothing like that. I'm just here to give you my thoughts, my opinions, my expertise in the hobby, where I see things that they have been, where they're going, what I'd like to see changed, what I'd like to see the hobby and the direction that it goes in, yada, 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 yada. At the end of this video, as we've been going for close to 20 minutes now, just be smarter, be more financially strategic, have it, whatever you're doing makes sense. And unfortunately for shop owners, collectors even, this is really going to hinder us moving forward. And a friend of mine, Mike, who I've actually had here on the channel when we were doing early morning setup, a card show podcast, he reached out to me the other day, actually last night for me, and he said, the increase in vendor tables is really going to have an effect on the collectors at the end of the day. So we're seeing negativity and problems sprinkle in through the cracks of the hobby, outside of just vendors overpaying and overcharging for cards that they paid way too much money for, but even from the cheap, affordable collector standpoint, because tables, and this is a conversation for another day, tables are getting more expensive, travel's expensive, eating is expensive. So therefore, 50-cent boxes are now going to be dollar boxes. Small change, but it adds up. A collector who likes to buy quarter cards can't get 200 cards for $40 anymore. They're going to have to pay $80 for those same cards, or however the math works out. So just something to think about as you exit this video, and as I wrap up this video, that there's other issues at hand, or possibly at hand, outside of vendors overpaying for cards, being in an arms race just to sell it to Whatnot streamers, so people like you or I can't get deals. So that will wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for listening and watching this massive rant about the current state of card shows. Again, this is only for your large-scale card shows. West Coast Card Show, the National, a little bit up at Fanatics Fest. I'm definitely curious to hear what you guys have to say about the matter. Have you seen this in your big regional shows? Have you seen it at your local card shows? Were you at the West Coast show, the Fanatics, or the National? Give me your thoughts, opinions, comments, concerns, anything like that about everything we discussed down below in the comments. I definitely want to read and reply to any and all comments. But that will wrap it up for this video. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure you smash the thumbs up button, comment like I said, subscribe to the channel if you're new or haven't considered subscribing. Check out the channel membership program. Thank you so much to Keon L for becoming a Case Hit member. You are absolutely awesome. Big shout out to Mike M being a parallel member. And of course, big shout out to all of our base members as well in our channel membership program. Awesome perks, benefits, and exclusivities that the public do not get, so consider joining our channel membership program. Like I said, that will wrap it up for this video, guys. I've queued up an excellent video right here, or no, over here for you guys, that I do believe will be excellent for your hobby endeavors. Hopefully I'll see you in that one. Bye.